Mr. Speaker, Manitobans are becoming increasingly aware that in this province we not only have a huge fiscal deficit, but we have a large and growing social deficit. Manitobans have been shocked to learn that under NDP government, the number of children in families who are so poor that they must use food banks has gone up from 5,500 to 29,000 in the last 10 years, an increase of more than 500%. The government has talked incessantly about social justice, but it's failed miserably. Why, in more than 12 and a half years, has this government failed to act to stand up for families and children who are poor?
There's only one political party in this House that has supported increases in the minimum wage, that's right. And that's members on this side of the House. And that has helped many families who are among those trying to struggle to make a living in our society. We've lifted the floor in the minimum wage. The Conservative opposition, when they were in office, disentitled all people on social assistance from receiving the National Child Benefit. We've added that back and made it available to all working families in Manitoba. The number of single parents living in poverty has been reduced by 50% in the province of Manitoba, and we are providing record amounts of social housing and affordable housing so families can have a stable lifestyle and be able to allow their children to go to school successfully. We've made several very distinct initiatives that will help people have access to the resources they need to get an education, to get training, to get a job, and to have proper housing and supports to do that, including better wages in the province of Manitoba.
Mr. Speaker, the Premier's told us all about what he's doing, but the fact of the matter is it's not working. The number of children who are so poor that they must use food banks has gone up and up and up under his government. And the fact that this government has been so ineffective in this area leads to at-risk children, children who are lured into gangs and increased crime in Winnipeg. Doesn't the Premier even care about the fact that his efforts aren't working? David Northcott at Winnipeg Harvest sees the crises created by this Premier's ineffective efforts every day. I ask the Premier, doesn't he care?
Specific to people that need additional access to food resources, last year we put in place what we call the Nourishing Potential Contribution in partnership with the Winnipeg Foundation to build up a permanent fund to provide access to low-cost food to low-income families in Manitoba. That fund will rise to at least $5 million. We're making regular contributions to that fund. We work in partnership with the voluntary sector as well as community organizations to make sure children have access to food, to have access to breakfast programs, to have access to nutrition programs, including in all regions of the province of Manitoba. We've also increased wages for people. We've also increased benefits to allow people on social assistance to get access to work. We've extended the amount of time people can have access to daycare while they're in training. We've extended the amount of labor market and training supports we make available to families. Our commitment is to help families earn an income so that they can have a decent quality of life and then provide housing at an affordable rate so they can have a stable quality of life while they're working and be able to retain their families in the same communities and at the same schools. We have a number of other initiatives that we will announce that will increase.
Order, please. The honourable member for River Heights.
Mr. Speaker, for all the Premier's fine rhetoric, the fact is that there was little in this budget that will make much difference for those 29,000 children in families who are so poor that they have to use food banks. These families will still need to use food banks. And for many, the funding for housing through social assistance is now so inadequate that they have no choice but to use their food money to pay for a place to stay. Something is very wrong here when the number of children in poor families goes up and up, and when the social deficit in our province is increasing and increasing. When will the Premier act, as Shauna McKinnon for the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives has indicated, when will the Premier act to increase the housing allowance for low-income Manitobans?
There is over $8 million in the budget for what we call the Rent Aid program, which is a benefit for people that need it to pay rent. And that benefit is a portable benefit. It allows them to receive that regardless of where they're getting their source of income. But when they go into work opportunities, they can retain that benefit. In addition, we have a targeted benefit for people that need housing in the community with mental health issues. And there's an additional $200 a month for those folks to have stable housing as well. But most importantly, we're building more housing. We're building more housing for people that need it. We're building at least 300 plus additional units every year on the social housing portfolio, and we are investing in private market housing in partnership with Winnipeg and the private sector to increase the total number of units of housing we have in the province. We have a very strong commitment to housing. We have a strong commitment to opportunities to work in this province, opportunities to get training, and income supports that allow people to do that. Sufficient opportunity to get daycare, sufficient opportunity to get training supports, keeping the cost of tuition low in this province of Manitoba, rent aid, national child benefit, and a family benefit. All of these resources are geared to reducing the number of people living in poverty in Manitoba, and there has been results. We have reduced poverty by 40% globally, and we have reduced it by over 50% for single parents. The member should recognize that. He was a member of the federal cabinet that eliminated the Canada Assistance Program for low-income communities.
Order, please. Order, please.